Guys, hope you're well. Welcome to DOdaily Thursday Thoughts. It's Des here, just checking in, as I always do, with the live DOdaily session every Thursday. Looking to answer your questions, looking to invite you to get involved. If you've got anything to say throughout, please add your comments. Love to interact in that way, a chance to ask me whatever you think, and like I say, just sort of contribute wherever you can. It's just a bit of light-hearted information sharing, I guess, is the best way of putting it on a Thursday. Just a way to find out what's up, pick my brains, find out what's on my mind, and just relate in that way. Of course, what I want to do here is offer a light-hearted, bite-sized, easily digestible information of how we can relate and pass on information, which ultimately helps us all just that little bit wherever it can. Of course, I look at all sorts of subjects, from physical activity, from running, especially. Of course, that's my real passion. Talk about what I'm getting up to, talk about mental health and how we can help ourselves in that sense, and just keep sort of pushing through in that sense of doing whatever we can to feel that little bit better. That's what Thursdays are about. I'll be sticking to the usual theme of looking at last week's throwback question, answering your questions, and then posting a throwback question this week. Pretty much tried and tested by now. Like I said, I appreciate any feedback. I appreciate the feedback I've got so far. That's absolutely fantastic. And of course, if you've not seen that parkrun vlog from yesterday, do check that out. Really, really enjoyed putting that together. Always worry a little bit that I've not got enough to fill out, but it's a good reflection of what I got up to at the weekend. And another sort of real positive morning and a reflection of that. Again, whilst I'm encouraging people to run, Wednesdays are all about that. Thursdays are all about sort of just checking in where we are, how things are going, and enjoying what we can do. So, moving into those questions, the throwback. Before I say how I'm feeling, I'd normally do that at this point. Before I do that, what I will do is get into the throwback. And of course, that was, what do you need to be more harsh on yourself with? One of the days last week, I spoke about having to be that little bit more harsh on myself because things haven't quite worked out. Unfortunately, this week I've been ill, so I still can't do some of the things I want to do. You can probably hear it a little bit in my voice, in all reality. Struggling a little bit with a bit of cold and flu. I'll be okay, probably through the worst of it now as well. Earlier in the week, it was a real struggle, so not being able to do a lot of those things I wanted to be harsh on myself with. But I can't be too harsh in that sense, because at the end of the day, we've got to do whatever's right and try and sort of do best with what we've got at any given time. But the point of asking this was almost to just sort of remind people that sometimes when other people are filling us with ideas and watering things down, not out of spite, out of kind of like concern or just trying to be nice, we have to remember that we've got to keep going, especially for someone like myself who's target driven, who wants to do everything I can. It's so important just to keep pushing forward and keep evaluating. And part of evaluation, part of DOdaily, is the honesty. It's not just honesty in terms of telling you exactly the way things have been in the past or this. It's just the honesty of the way I'm feeling there and then. And this is a great example of that. So some of the responses, some great responses. Kays is not eating like she's run 10 miles when she's done 5K. Again, as runners, we can all be a little bit guilty of overindulging after some exercise, thinking that we've completed 10 miles or a marathon, and the reality is we've done 5K. But the key is there not to hit the fridge too soon. I've been guilty of that myself, and more so recently. When I lost weight in the past, I heard something which was really good, is after a run, stay away from the fridge for 30 minutes. That's a key thing in not eating too much, because eventually that hunger dies off and you don't attack it. But great response again. Like myself, Kay's looking to get fit, so it's a great thing to sort of bear in mind. Rachel says I need to be more careful and thoughtful about my nutrition and push my mileage again. Great response there again, along those sort of nutrition lines and what we do around our activity and our exercise. But whether it is exercise or activity or not, we've all got to be mindful of what we're doing. And if it's eating, we all know what's good and bad when it comes to eating. We all know what we should be doing. There's enough information out there. You don't need me to preach on you about that. But of course, when you are doing exercise, there's certain things that help and assist it. And again, it's important to get that right. And she wants to pick up a mileage again, something I want to do. So that's really relevant for me. And it's great to hear somebody else is kind of thinking along the same lines. Kirsty says, when running, I need to be more consistent. I need to make sure I consistently stretch before runs and post run care afterwards. Of course, stretching is really important for the coaching group I do through DOdaily in person here in Nottingham. Bringing it in more and more. We're not perfect again. The whole thing's a work in progress, but stretching is becoming a key part of what we do. It's so important to warm up, cool down. But again, as somebody who does a lot of activity, that's not where we get the most enjoyment from, is it? That's not where we see the results. So kind of gets a little bit pinned off at times, but ultimately it's all that work, all that prep, all that self-care that gives you the results. Of course, the hard work, the hard miles do the trick as well, but what it does do is reduce injuries, reduce frustration caused by injuries, and of course the lack of motivation after injuries, which is something that I'm having to deal with. So it's important to do all these things properly. Great response there. Phil says I need to stick to my plans rather than saying I'm too busy or tired. It's easy, isn't it? I've mentioned already, really struggling this week, feeling tired, feeling a little bit run down. But I've still got to keep doing the things I'm doing. I'd love a break, in some ways. But I know I have to keep pushing through, because the more I don't do now, the more that I have to do later on. And I'm trying to get into this habit of doing things. I can be a little bit guilty of doing things that I don't really want to do, keep pushing them to the bottom of the pile. And that's the worst thing to possibly do, isn't it? Don't push anything to the bottom of the pile. I listen to a podcast every day and it said, whatever your jobs are for the day, do the worst one first, because you'll get most satisfaction out of getting it done. I'm pushing on, and that's something I'm really trying to take on board. Still not mastered it, but it's important. And Phil saying there again, rather than say you're tired up, it's too easy sometimes, isn't it? It's an excuse. I've just been to the coaching session. I've not actually taken part the first Thursday for quite a while. I haven't, but I was still there. I was still fulfilling my responsibilities. And if I'd not done that, I felt bad enough not being in the session. I feel I have to be there and set the example at times, whilst there's quicker, faster people than me and people who don't need me in that sense. I still feel I have to be part of it, and I felt bad enough for that, but got plenty of enjoyment from the session. And I wouldn't have got that if I wasn't there. I got a sense of achievement in terms of the coaching side of it, and the achievement I draw from others, the inspiration I draw from others. So it's important to just do what you need to do sometimes and push on through. I spoke about that on Monday, didn't I? I spoke about sort of just going with things, and of course, if we're too ill, if we're too tired, we have to make time for rest. Some of the things I do, wake up to walk, for example, is a way of taking time for myself, just to sort of, just to think things through and just to process everything. And that can be as good as a rest sometimes. So there's all sorts of ways of approaching it, but great answer, great response there, Phil. Simon says I need to be more harsh with keeping my screen time down. Again, it's the way of the world these days, isn't it? Everybody's looking at a screen all the time. Again, I'll hold my hands up. I've always got my phone in my hand. I kind of live through my mobile phone if it's not sat in front of a computer doing YouTube. So yeah, it's important. It's something I do. What I am trying to do, because I know I spend ridiculous amounts of time in front of it, and a lot of it's for work. So a lot of the time it has to be that way. But what I'm really trying to do is leave my phone out the bedroom. And that's really, really important. And there's a little story behind that this week. I have been leaving my phone out of the bedroom occasionally, making sure it's not always next to the bed and switched on. And this week I actually took it upstairs by mistake, just out of a habit on Monday evening, and it actually rang at 1:16 in the morning. It kept me awake as well for 2-3 hours after that. Don't know who the call was, probably a wrong number, but it actually kept me awake for all that time, and it really sort of affected the rest of my day and the fact I wasn't feeling good anyway. So just another reason, just to look at some of the habits we do and make sure we do them. And again, that's just a reminder to me that I have to stop taking my phone into the bedroom. That's probably just a genuine mistake, but it really knocked the way I was feeling and what I was doing, especially not feeling great. And Jen says sticking to regular hours rather than working late into the evenings. Again, it's probably a phenomenon of time, of where we're at right now. Lots of people now work from home, don't they? And sort of work with a little bit more flexibility. The problem with flexible working is, as much as it can be great at times, you can end up working into the evening. You can sit with your laptop, at home and sort of try and churn work out that way and get too involved in what you're doing. So important, again, to take those breaks, like with the phone, taking it, put the laptop down, put it in a different room, switch your work phone off, those kind of things. It's important to do that because we all need our own time. And again, it's easy for me to sit here and say this. I know the answers. And I'm not trying to preach because I know I'm rubbish at it at times, trying to find time to do the things I do, trying to find time to recover from being ill today. It's really difficult. And I'm talking in many ways about pushing on through, but it's important to realize what is actually important. Some of the things I do out of work and necessity are all things I enjoy as well. They're all things I feel I need to do. If it's something that's stressing you out, you definitely need to take a break. Quite often on a Wednesday, of course we check in every day, and I'm asking people to keep thinking, keep using the different motivations, but quite often on a Wednesday, try and break the week down to say, where are you at? Where are you at with your work? Where are you at with your life? And if it's not great, even more so than when it is great, try and get out for a walk, get out for some activity, just to sort of realize where you're at. It's so important. Some great responses there, guys. Really sort of enjoy getting those back in. Fantastic when you get that kind of response. Love the throwback. It's a feature of what we do here, and it's great to hear people's ideas. And all it's supposed to be for is to give people an idea of how we deal with different things, what we enjoy, what we get inspired by. Because if we don't know to be inspired by it sometimes, and that's the point, isn't it? We might think when we're being inspired by something, or when we're doing something, it's wrong to be, or it's wrong to do, and that's not necessarily the case. It's great to hear what others are doing. So fantastic feedback there. And I touched on right at the start, I'm not feeling great this week, and I'm feeling fantastic in terms of everything I'm doing, and that's why I want to keep pushing through. I do feel a little bit distracted. It's not somewhere I've been for a while. A few things sort of not niggling away at me. It's just the illness as much as anything, and that phone call and the fact I'm feeling tired. If I'd have not taken the phone to the bedroom, I wouldn't have lost that much sleep. I might have been feeling a bit better now, and it's that knock-on effect. But I'm still feeling fantastic about things I'm doing. I'm still enjoying what I'm doing. Again, there's lots of football for me to break away from the harsh realities of everything else I do, to try and encourage and support and help. It work. As much as I don't really consider it as work, it is what I work at day in, day out. So there's lots of football and things like that. Got a nice weekend coming up, a bit of time out. Massively changed plans from what I was supposed to be doing, but I'm actually going to London tomorrow, just overnight, with Kay before she goes on to meet a friend and I come home. So looking forward to just sort of 24 hours of sort of nothing, but until it feels right now, until I get on that train, everything's 100 miles an hour, and I'm just waiting for that point where I can just come down a level or two and relax. So yeah, everything's great. Sort of finalising how I feel, which I tend to do on a Thursday. I'll speak about that a lot more, of course, and reflect on the week. It's not been the most straightforward. Again, that's I always talk about through DOdaily. Whilst it is trying to be positive and enthusiastic, whilst it's trying to sort of inspire and motivate people, it can't always be that way, can it? Life gets in the way sometimes, and whilst there's nothing to affect my mental health, my physical health's not fantastic this week. And again, we have to cope with it, because there is a direct link between the two. How many times have you heard me say that? So to get into these questions, the real sort of point of Thursday thoughts, and sort of respond to what people are asking me. Of course, if you've got anything to add, please add it into the comments. I'd love to get that, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching it back at some other point. Please do drop us a comment. Of course, as well, like the video. Do it now. Drop a like on the video. I'd love to sort of spread the word around YouTube about what I'm doing here and try and build the channel. I wouldn't have started it if I hadn't. So it's important for me to encourage that, and like I say, add your comment, share the video if you're feeling really kind, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. That's as important as anything. Let's get those numbers up. But getting into these questions, question number 1 is from Kane. It looks like someone might finally be on its way. What's a non-running thing you look forward to the most in the summer? It's a great question. That really got me thinking. There's lots of things I love. Lots of them revolve around sport and not necessarily participation. Cricket's a massive thing for me in the summer. As much as you hear me talk about football in the winter and towards the spring and late autumn, I love cricket. Getting over to Trent Bridge, which I actually live about 200 yards, the width of the River Trent away from, is just something I love doing. And it's a great way for me to take time out as well. I've spoken a lot already tonight about finding ways to take a bit of time out. I have a membership at Trent Bridge, so I can nip over in the afternoons. The way my day's structured, working in the morning, tend to work later in the evening with my coaching, with DOdaily, with other things, running groups and things like that. So I can get over to Trent Bridge in the afternoon, and on a sunny day, when there's a handful of people in the crowd, sometimes I can take the laptop, sometimes I take something to read, or just my headphones and listen to things while I'm watching the cricket, and sometimes I just sit and watch the cricket. That's the key thing in all that, isn't it? It's absolutely fantastic. So really, really looking forward to the cricket. Of course, I won't lie to you, as much as I like to sort of want to get fit, as much as I love my running, I do love a social beer garden event as well, getting out in a beer garden, living where we do. Again, there's some amazing places, really nice to visit and sit outside, so by the river and things like that. So that's really sort of something I look forward to. Hopefully this year there won't be too much of that, considering I've really got to kick in with this health kick. But that's something, and when we can do that with friends. I remember last summer, that was really nice, wasn't it? Because we weren't allowed inside, so as the summer sort of came up on us, because of the COVID restrictions, we had to stay outside, and getting to meet friends again, that was brilliant. So looking forward to that again, and just sort of getting away. Something else COVID bring on, so everything wasn't bad, because these are things I'm really positive about. But longer walks, that's important to me now, and I really want to pick those up again. The winter's been difficult. Having a little bit more to do post-COVID and everything sort of being thrown back into the mix. It's been hard for me to get out for walks for as long as I want. It gives me a great base level of fitness as well, but the summer's great for that, just getting up at any time in the evening. The days are longer, you can be out till 8, 9, 10 o'clock, so really looking forward to getting those in. But there's that, and also the fact during COVID, when we weren't allowed to go too far on a holiday and things like that, we went to the caravan at the coast. Kay's parents got a caravan, but we also went on another caravan holiday near Scarborough, which I'd never been to before, and I just want to do a little bit more of that. Really looking forward to perhaps getting to 1 or 2 different destinations for short breaks, just when I need a few days off. Again, talking about that time, kind of a bit of a theme today, isn't it? Running through it, in the fact that we're looking to find those little bits of time when we just need that break. But yeah, those are the things I do. Great question. Really sort of appreciate getting that. Let us know what you're really looking forward to in the summer. Of course, I'm looking forward to running as well because it's a bit warmer. You can do it at different times again. I'm looking forward to getting out there. Question 2, I'm really enjoying your part 1 vlogs on a Wednesday. How do you decide which one to visit next? Well, thanks for the comment about the part 1 vlogs. Of course, I've already mentioned it. Another shameless plug for yesterday's. I was at a place called Doddington Hall last weekend. It's not too far away. Really enjoyed that. Basically, when it comes to deciding it, a lot of the time it's dictated by circumstances. So if you've watched the vlogs, you'll have seen that a couple of times I've been in London. This weekend, I'm in London again. I was supposed to be going to a football match. The previous times was for a running group away day and a football match. So we were there. So I purposely got there in time to do the park runs as well, because something else I love, and when I can tie in football and park run and meeting people I know, that's brilliant. And that's what I've done so far. So a couple of them have been because of that. I want to, every so often, I just want to get to Colic because it's the place I go. So when I've got a busy day locally, if I've got to be back for something, or I've got a meeting late morning, or an extremely busy day, I'll try and get to my local park run, which is a mile or so down the road. Love it as well. So there's no sort of, just because I use it in that sense, it's not like I'm just defaulting there. I actually absolutely love going there and wouldn't leave it too long before I get back. Tend to do it at least once a month, probably more when I'm not as busy as I've been recently. But there's that. And then just the fact, if we've got some time on a Saturday, I'd like to just go and do a local one, work into 1 or 2 little targets around Part 1. I could go on all night about the Part 1 challenges that are out there. There seem to be, you can do the alphabet challenge or the bingo challenge, where you try and finish on every second of the minute, complete every letter in the alphabet. You can do your first Part 1 at the first event number 1, your 6 at event number 6 somewhere. There's all sorts of different things. I'm working to 2 small ones because I get to London quite a lot. I'm going to try and eventually, I'm still a way off, but I'm going to try and complete all the Part 1s in the M20 inside the M25. I think there's about 50. I think that's achievable over a good few years. It's probably up to about 8 or 9 at the minute, so good way off that. But something just to bear in mind as things go on, and with the way you can travel around London, even if you're in the centre, that seems quite doable over time, like I say. And also the fact I've done quite a lot in the East Midlands. So going to Donington Hall at the weekend, which is just north of Lincoln, one I'd not been to. I'm trying to get all the apartments in the East Midlands. It's called a Regionair. Again, I think there's about 50, and I think I'm up to over 30. So not that close. And considering you can only do 1 a week, even if you went on a mission to do them all, it'd take you quite a while. But working towards that. So those are the reasons, really. It might be because I'm in a certain place for a certain reason. I might just fancy going to Colic because I've got a busy day ahead and I can fit it in, and I want to fit it in. I always want to get park run in on a Saturday morning, not just because I do the vlog on a Wednesday, just because it's the best start to the weekend, and it gives you real purpose, intention, sort of moving forward, and knowing you've done it. When I go to a football match on a Saturday afternoon, it feels great. And then, like I say, just randomly picking park run tourism. You might remember a couple of weeks ago, again, a plug for one of the vlogs, went to Sheffield, jumped on a train with a couple of friends. It's something we'd done pre-lockdown, and we went and did it. A bit of a nightmare course it happened to be, but Sheffield Castle, sort of running from the station to the park run, doing the park run, running back, gets a few extra miles in. It's a bit of fun along the way, it always feels a bit epic. So yeah, there's all sorts of reasons why I choose it, but they're the main ones, really. Great question, really love that. And like I say, really enjoy the fact that you're enjoying the vlogs. They seem to go, the vlogs, they're going down really, really well. So appreciate that. Moving on to question 3. What do you think the outcome of Sunday's Forest match will be? Of course, I could have not answered this week. And Dawn also asked the same question as David. Slightly different. I'll come on to that shortly. But what do I think the outcome will be? Normally, the only thing I do refuse to talk about on DOdaily because I talk about it so much elsewhere, and I don't want to bore people with football. Those who have a non-football persuasion. I try not to stick to running, which is the main reason for this channel, and physical activity and encouraging that. I want to make it sort of transferable to all situations. So I try and avoid it a little bit, not to get too drawn into it. But I do talk about it because at the moment it's been important. It's been important for me to, I mentioned earlier about taking time out because I'm getting so much satisfaction from it. I've been going to football this season with new people. It's been a really enjoyable experience. It's made me really sort of fall in love with it again. Forest are doing well. So again, as a football fan, as somebody who's so passionate about it, of course you're going to sort of experience different emotions, and it's important as I'm talking about feelings and positives and how we can turn negatives into positives. It's important for me to talk about it because it's another big thing in my life. So this week they play Liverpool in the FA Cup. How exciting is that? I'm really, 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 really excited. Really looking forward to it. This is why we're football fans for big games. Forest have kind of not been very good for 20 years. And I remember when they were good. I'm old enough to remember that. So there's been a lot of time where it's not been so good. And of course, we've had moments here and there, but nothing consistent. And like I say, with what's happened this season, a good cup run is a real big thing. And getting Liverpool, an old rival from the past, from when Forest was a really, really good team, which unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you looked at it, I'm not old enough to remember. So really, really looking forward to this one. Getting stuck in, giving them a good game. That's what I want to do. We're pitting our wits against the best teams, and that's what Liverpool are. For as much as I don't really like them, don't want to offend anyone, but they're a great team. So to give them a good game, beat them, I'd be absolutely over the moon with. But I'm not sure that'll probably happen. I'm not being negative. We've got as good a chance now as any time we was in the same league as them. We're a good side as well. That's the thing going into it. If it had happened in the past, we might have got sort of whitewashed and had absolutely no chance. I think there's a chance for an upset. The reality is it's probably not happen, and that's only me being realistic. I take nothing away if they turn up on the day. I didn't think they'd beat Arsenal. I didn't think they'd beat Leicester, but they did. Teams that are much better and got much more sort of financial clout behind them. But these are the ones we live for, aren't they? And I've had a few conversations around Twitter. People said to me when the draw was made, "Stop getting excited." It's because we had to beat somebody else. We had to beat Huddersfield in the previous line. I'm like, no, these are the ones we live for. This is why I invest so much time and passion and energy and money, into supporting them all throughout my life. I go to games. I spend a lot of money on merchandise. These are the ones we do it for. We want to play these big games every week. And yes, it's important to get there through the league and be in that position. But there's no guarantees with that. We've suffered for 20 years. So it's important now to sort of make the most of this game, get really excited by it. Just enjoy it. If we get beat, we get beat. In reality, we're on a hiding to nothing on this one. Liverpool are expected to win. We've got a free hit. As long as we don't get absolutely annihilated, we'll come out of it with some credit. Had a brilliant cup run. Some players look absolutely amazing, shined. It's helped with the league form, I believe. So that's where I'm at with it. Probably not win, but I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility. And if we do, you'll see a very excited person on DOdaily on Monday. Couple of comments. I thought I might get a couple on this one. I'm in the minority. I know I know, but I think we will win 2-1 on Sunday. That's from Dawn, who also asked the same question. So she's been saying that a lot. I think she'd just like to say something different. She'll kill me for saying that, but hopefully she's right, if anything. And Kay said the people saying don't get excited are probably the ones who are moaning about not having a ticket right now. Well, that's a whole new subject, isn't it? Because it's a big game. There's been a lot of talk locally about who should and shouldn't get tickets and who should get priority. What I will say on that one is you put the time and effort in by being a season ticket holder. Everybody knows historically that's how it works. You know, you're probably entitled to be top of the list for a ticket. And that's, I'm not going to get too deep into that because there's a lot of people who are upset about it. But yeah, in terms of the game, I think the likely outcome is a Liverpool win. There's another comment just coming in there. Ian says he really can't wait. No, neither can I. We'll be full of it, full of something on Sunday at least. Me and Ian and Dawn and Kay and the rest of them, you know, we'll be singing loud, and it'll be a fantastic atmosphere. I'm really looking forward to that. So that's what I'm saying about having a great weekend and being really busy, despite the fact I probably need a bit of time to be ill and get better. I've got this little trip to London. Again, that's going to be a bit more relaxing than it would normally be, even though I'm going to try and get a park run in before I come home for the match on Sunday, which is really exciting. Again, just to sort of explain a bit about the positives of what I'm doing there and why it's something to look forward to. That whole thing was planned around a football match initially. It was planned around the Forest playing at Fulham in the league. It's been postponed because we progressed in the cup. And it'd be easy to get stressed out and fed up about that and not do it and say, I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that. But you have to, don't you? You know, you have to make the most of what you've got. What will be the point? I'd lose out on money. That doesn't matter ultimately. I'm doing it because I want to do it. But again, it's about finding the positive. So why can't we have a little trip down there and back? You know, why can't I do both in the same weekend as the football match? Book Monday off. So if we do win and I get a little bit too excited, you know, I won't have to suffer on Monday again. Planning and preparation, I always talk about that. So again, it's just trying to find positives from negatives sometimes. And when it's not great, I spoke all throughout the episode about not feeling great, but everything I've said, I've tried to find that positive. So that's all I'm trying to do here, guys. Talking about positives, the throwback question this week: what do you look forward to most about the summer? That question Kay asked me on the outset there. You know, I mentioned the cricket, I mentioned going for long walks, I mentioned going to new places in the UK, you know, just because we just basically defaulted to going abroad for a lot of the time, but there's plenty of nice places here. So what are you most looking forward to? It'd be great to get some responses. Like I say, drop it in the comments, you know, that would be amazing. The more comments I get, it helps, like I say, and it gives me something to sort of come back off, you know, create content from. And of course, it just might help other people understand what they're doing is fine, or it might inspire them to do it. And that's all we're trying to do, just trying to be a lending hand, you know, for people who just want to listen in. All I'm trying to be is somebody who's just real and just lives it the way everyone else does, but talks about it a little bit more. There's nothing harm with talking. For me personally, it helps me get things off my chest. It helps me feel better about what I'm doing, but it's for others as well, for them to sort of feel at ease with the information that's being passed on. Nothing too technical, nothing too scientific. If I do mention mental health, I'm not going to go on about neuroscience. I'm not going to go on about this has happened in your past. You know, I'm always the example, so it's to make people feel at ease. So hopefully you've enjoyed the episode. Like I say, do give it a thumbs up. Really enjoyed it today, despite the fact I'm losing my voice a little bit. So I'm trying to get through it a little bit now, but please give it a thumbs up. Please do subscribe if you're new. And like I say, keep those comments coming. Really, really helps. If you've got any questions, if you're not, you can post it on any of the social media, which has been scrolling across the bottom throughout. And I'll pick it out throughout the week. Any of the videos, check back on those vlogs, check back on the earlier episodes this week just to see how I've been progressing. Make any comments. I'll pick them out. I'll find your questions and I'll look to answer them the best I can next week. If you're not keen on putting your name to it, you can always email me. A few people have done that recently. I mentioned last week how nice that is when people feel they can almost confide in me a little bit from the things I've said. That's amazing. You know, that's humbling. That's worth doing this alone. So really, really enjoy that. Don't feel like you're doing something wrong if that's what you want to do. Please do get in touch, and I'll respond to everybody. I always do. So keep them coming. Like I say, the throwback question there. What are you most looking forward to in the summer? And of course, one of the things I'm most looking forward to myself is getting on that next little adventure through Wake Up to Walk. It's still a few weeks away because I'm still struggling against the clock and struggling against busy plans. But I'm looking to start a brand new challenge where I can use a bit more daylight, better weather to get up even earlier and get a good long walking on a Friday. Again, trying to find that time to do something that works for me. Believe me, that really works. It helps me process everything that's gone. It helps me look forward even more. I'll be full of beans in the morning, knowing that the weekend's almost upon us, knowing that I'm out and about, getting some activity and getting some fresh air, clearing my mind, ready for another busy one. So until then, guys, have a great evening. Hopefully you've enjoyed everything. Just doing it.